Welcome to the Final Score Network and the Final Score Podcast, presented by Team Anders Realtors. I'm Andy. He's former NCAA student athlete and co-host.
Ryan, Cam, two-hand monster flush off the inbound. Ryan, Cam, slam, jam. Oh boy.
Find the TFS Pod and our playlists wherever you stream your podcast or music. Follow us on X at TheFinalScore35. Oh, and one more note before we get started.
I'd like to apologize to anyone I've not offended yet. Please be patient. I'll get to you shortly.
Welcome into episode 210 of the TFS Pod. We're back. Last one of January. Weather's finally getting a little warmer. It's a lot warmer than it was last week. It feels like summer when it's 30 degrees. That's not good. We are less than 7 weeks away from Selection Sunday. We've got a Super Bowl matchup. Gag me with a spoon. I don't like either team. We'll talk about that later. Some things happening in the college football world. We'll also get to that. And just a lot of college hoops and talk some Michigan State hockey, some golf, signature event number 2 this weekend. Also dive into that a little bit. Pebble Beach, AT&T. Looking forward to watching that as well. Without further ado, I'll take the podium, and I want to talk about our friends down the road in A2, AA, the arrogant asses. We didn't do anything wrong. We fight tooth and nail against the NCAA, the Michigan Wolverines. Finally, it comes out, their response to the NOA from the NCAA. Ross Dellinger from Yahoo got it, and apparently it was leaked from within. That tells you anything. There's a mole inside.
It seems like it's months behind when it was supposed to come out.
Apparently it got there at the beginning of this month, and it just now leaked because you got the info. But this is basically the synopsis. The NCAA's notice of allegations, as well as Michigan's response, did not stipulate proposed penalties against the school. However, 6 of the 11 violations are deemed to be level 1, and the NCAA asserts that Michigan failed to monitor its football program given the severe nature and multi-year length of the Stallion scheme. The university and several of its coaches are considered repeat offenders, an allegation the school refutes in its response. One of those repeat offenders is current head coach Sharon Moore. I didn't read the whole thing. It's really long, but just baffling. Sharon Moore, he obviously deleted text messages the day that this broke in 2023. And he in the NOA says, yeah, I didn't do anything wrong. I just deleted the messages because I was so upset with the situation. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, buddy. Yeah, totally. There's information about Stallions and his buddy, I can't remember his name, his buddy from Central. Apparently he told Sharon Moore that he was going to come down to visit and have a conversation with the whole team. I'm sure there was the plan to get Stallions up on the sideline for the Michigan State-Michigan game. Harbaugh with his stuff with recruiting, I'm guarantee he knew about it. It's a ridiculous situation. We've talked about it time and time again, and I hope that the penalties, they should get the death penalty. If everything went the way it should, they would, but it's never going to happen because the NCAA is toothless. We know that. I think they'll get something. If they had balls, they would just vacate all their wins, national championship. It's not going to happen. Mike Hart, he's also involved in there. He knew stuff. What a shocker. That little whiny, you-know-what.
I think the hope that I have, though, is that they basically, more or less, without giving them the death penalty, gave Penn State a virtual death penalty over something not even football-related.
Football, right.
That wasn't an on-the-field thing. That was nothing that the players or coaches maybe some of the coaches knew, I guess, but they weren't afraid to, basically put Joe Paterno to his deathbed over it.
Right.
So that's the only hope that I have. But Michigan has their scandal of stuff, that the doctor scheme that was going on with Bo Schembechler. Mm-hmm. Ohio State had a similar thing. I just don't have that much faith in the NCAA to do the right thing. I think they'll be too cowardly. And the problem is when you don't send a message, you send a message because other teams are just going to do it, right? They're going to be like, well, if Michigan's not going to be held accountable, why should I? And it just will contribute to the continuation of the Wild Wild West. So either nothing happens or they severely redact any penalties or whatever, and just kind of like firm slap on the wrist type of thing. I just don't have faith that the right thing will be done. The right thing will be done. I don't care how historic Michigan's football program is to, my feeling about vacating, but vacate the national championship would be to have some severe scholarship and, sanctions and things like that to really put their program in the shits for the next 3 to 5 years. That's the fair thing to do. Is it fair to the current and future players that had nothing to do with it? No, but that's not how it goes. You can't go back and retroactively punish guys, minus taking away a national championship, which we all know that they won, whether they cheated or not, which they did. So, all right, that's not my podium, but that was a good one, Ryan. And of course, I had to weigh in on that one because that's one everybody's got an opinion on. My podium, I thought, a little kudos to Dottie Pepper, one of the walking commentators for CBS Golf. I didn't hear her make this live, but lamented the pace of play. We've been talking a lot about pace of play. I think the final group was 5 hours and 29 minutes. Somebody asked Rory the other day, and he's like, well, when the wind's blowing like that and the courses are made that much more difficult, everybody's going to remark and take their time on this and that and the other thing. But here's the thing. I get it. You're playing for millions of dollars. But let me put it into as apples to apples a comparison for us laymen as I can. You get an unlimited amount of time with virtually no penalty. You can get a warning, but we know that no penalty's been enacted for you to take an inordinate amount of time to finish the job at hand, that being a round of golf. If I'm being held accountable for a project that's based on a timeline, what happens if I bust the timeline and I don't have approval to bust the timeline? I get a poor review. I might not get a raise. I might not get a bonus. Hell, I might get fired. I'm not talking about me personally, but in general layman's work terms, that's the closest I can come to comparing it. So I don't buy this, well, it's worth this much more money, because I would argue that a man making $125,000 who, gets fired because he screwed the pooch on a project is at way more risk than you are as somebody not winning a golf tournament. So I don't buy it's our job. The putts are worth money. No shit, they're worth money. So is my job, right? So is Ryan's job. The problem is more than that, beyond that, is the tone that you set for there's a boom in golf, right? Like, think of all the indoor places, right? I mean, right around us, how many indoor places are there to play golf? Probably within 10 miles, there's probably 4 or 5, right? At least. So you got that. You got regular golf. You got, top golf in cities or whatever. And around here, because we don't have some of those things, the amount of people that are taking up golf with limited courses, because from the time that I started living in Rockford 28 years ago, till now, there's like 4 less golf courses in the immediate 15-mile radius of here. But there's 4 times more people playing golf. What you're doing is you're sending a message to these people that it's okay to grip and regrip and take all your time in the world and all this stuff. When, look, there are simple measures. Let the caddies use rangefinders. There's just shot clock. People love that about TGL. I'm not saying it has to be 40 seconds, but would it kill you to put a 1.5-minute shot clock on some of these things? Like, you've got plenty of time in the walk. You're going to require, and you continue to require these guys to walk. They've got plenty of time to think and visualize their shot from the point that they just hit their last shot. They do. They know where the ball went. They're getting communication on where it is. They're getting, maybe they have to look at the live real quick or whatever. But I mean, okay, fine, put a 2-minute shot clock on it. Think about how much faster golf would be. And I'm not saying you have to play speed golf, because you need to enjoy it. Like the everyday people like Ryan and I need to enjoy it. But I also really enjoy golf when it's a 3.5 to 3 hour and 45-minute round, because that's reasonable. I'm not waiting 10, 15 minutes between every shot. And that's what's happening on the PGA Tour. It kills viewership. Look at what happened to baseball. Baseball finally relented, and they put a pitch clock and they put a hit clock on, and games are what? Probably 45 minutes faster on average?
At least.
I don't have it in front of me, but they're at least a half an hour faster, and they're much more watchable because you don't have somebody picking their nose, scratching their jock, adjusting their hat, blah, 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 looking at signs, shaking off signs, having a trip to the mountain. You don't have all that garbage anymore. Something needs to be done about golf. because of the trickle-down effect as well, but it just needs to be done. It would be better for golf broadcasts because then they don't have to go over. They can get it in the window. There's no excuse for golf to be over 4 hours. We'll say 4.5 hours max if the conditions are really kind of crappy and you got like constant club wipe downs or that type of stuff. But golf, you got a problem and you need to fix it. Not golf ball rollbacks, not equipment being too good, not this, that, not that, not the other thing. You have a time issue. Dottie Pepper, you were dead on. Something needs to be done about it, and something needs to be done about it now. It's a lot like the NCAA needs to do something to make an example out of Michigan. PGA and USGA need to do something to make an example out of golfers that get off the clock or get on the clock because they're playing too slow. They legit need to penalize them on the spot, not after the round, on the spot.
Agreed. All right. We only got, I think, 3 more weeks of flag, and then we'll turn to tee up. Flag for this week. Our favorite friend,
Kermit the Frog.
Kermit the Mahomes, the Frog.
And I'll preface this by saying I don't know that he was really trying to be patronizing, but dude, like, abide by the rule. When you win, say nothing. When you lose, say less. The fact that in your press conference you quote unquote apologized to Josh Allen for, basically being in the way because he's a great dude. Actually, I've got his exact words here on my phone. Shoot, where did that go? Because you're a great dude. Well, Horde Priest. Oh, I lost it. He used words like, I hate to do it because he's a great dude and, he's a good baller and blah, blah, blah. That is totally patronizing. Josh Allen doesn't need to be reminded that you're better than him because your team is either more equipped or you just, look, there's no arguing. Patrick Mahomes is probably, until he reaches Tom Brady status in terms of winning Super Bowls and winning 7, you can't quite put him in that stratosphere. But in terms of being clutch, Tom Brady just was on really good teams and he led really good teams and he was a winner. Like, he knew how to win. Patrick Mahomes knows how to win and he's clutch. There's no need to apologize for being clutch, and there's no need to be an asshole about the fact that you're clutch. Josh Allen is well aware that you've beaten him twice by a limited amount of points in championship games in the last couple of years, and that he's 4-0 or 5-0 in the regular season, but he's 0-5 or whatever he is in the playoffs. Like, you don't need to say anything to rub it into his face anymore. That's what I would take it as if I was Josh Allen. I'd put that chip on my shoulder and I'd carry it next year. I was rooting like heck for the Bills. Tired of the Chiefs. Ryan alluded to it already. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but just shut up, Mahomes. Just shut up. You're a great quarterback. You're a clutch quarterback. You're a big time winner. You're still young. You don't need to patronize other quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yep. All right. We get to the meat and potatoes around the world. Spot 1. Presented by Norris Sports Group. NSG is a boutique agency of experts with 30-plus years experience in sports sponsorships and much more. Learn more about them today at norrissportsgroup.com. We go to the world of golf. Flip back to that. We had the Farmers Insurance Open last week. Saturday finish. Harris English picks up his 5th PGA Tour win, first since the epic duel with Kramer Hickok in 2021 at the Travelers up in Connecticut. Harris is a good dude.
It was nice to see him celebrate with his little girl,
family,
his nice wife, and he was pretty emotional about it. And
yeah, with the injuries,
he kind of dug in and he withstood. I think the average score that day was pretty close to 75.
Yeah, tough conditions with the wind and he did a nice job. He won. Shot 1 over. Sam Stevens tried to make it interesting. Andrew Novak was up there as well. Great win for Harris.
Ludwig was in control early, but then he got sick and
got the stomach flu, and the rest was history for him. That sucks. That's the worst. But Harris, I'm telling you, this guy, I'm going to say it right now, I think he's got an outside chance of being on the Ryder Cup team. I think he's going to have a good season. And he's played on it before. He played on it at Whistling Straits in 2021. So he has that experience, and he's a good dude, good team guy. I'm sure Keegan likes him too.
You know what? And if you missed it, they're going to be back at Torrey in a couple weeks.
They are. Yep, all on the south because of the fires in California. They had to move the Genesis from historic Riv out to to Torrey Pines South, which brings us to Pebble Beach. As my piece of crap computer does the pinwheel death. Okay, Pebble Beach Pro-Am, we're back. Elevated event, $20 million purse.
Sheesh.
If you remember last year, it was cut short, 54 holes due to bad weather. Wyndham Clark won. He shot a 60 on Saturday, on moving day, which ended up being the final day. Beat Ludwig by 1 in that tournament. Scotty Scheffler making the season debut after his hand surgery after the cut. Looking forward to seeing how he does.
Plus 400 to win it.
There's this field is stacked. The weather's not supposed to be good there tomorrow. Guess it's supposed to be.
60, windy, rainy.
50 degrees with 10-mile-an-hour wind.
Well, the wind isn't too bad, but 50 is pretty chilly.
50 is cold.
Especially because it's going to be cooler on the water.
Yes, it is. But with this being elevated events, a smaller field, and I think there's no cut.
I believe that's right. Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a lot of names that can win this. Justin Thomas is a name that sticks out to me.
He's pretty high favorite.
Morikawa, Scheffler, Spieth is making a season debut after his wrist surgery at the end of last year.
Morikawa's got pretty good odds.
Morikawa's played. He's had a lot of runner-up finishes. Tom Kim coming off a good week at TGL. Rory's playing. Ludwig, it's stacked, absolutely stacked. And the guy I'm going with is a guy that won there 2 years ago. His only PGA Tour event, Mr. Tom Hoagie. He is a good history at Pebble Beach. Played well there last year as well. And I don't know if he's going to win, but he's going to sure as heck put up a good fight. And I need to save other guys for later in the season.
How did we do after last week?
My guy missed the cut. Your guy, Charlie Hoff, I had Jaeger. He was 54, so he missed the cut. And then Charlie Hoffman was 25th for you.
Nice. I'm going to go with another Tom. I'm going to go with Tom Kim.
I'd like to see Tom win a big one. He hasn't really won a big one yet. He's won smaller tournaments. But looking forward to seeing Pebble. Obviously, it's a cathedral in golf.
Fun to see Bill Murray do his thing.
Yeah, do they still play in that?
They still do the Pro-Am.
Oh, they still do, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's elevated. Yeah, I wonder if Aaron Rodgers is playing in it. Josh Allen, maybe?
Yeah, he might be.
He might be.
Tony Romo.
Next week, we've got the Waste.
Yeah, the Waste, because that's always Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. We'll talk more about that and the fun.
It's kind of weird to me that they go out of California and then they go back to California for what is going to be Torrey again instead of the Riv.
Yeah, I think it goes Pebble, Waste, and then the Genesis, and then Mexico, and then the Florida Swing.
Mm-hmm. Which means we're getting closer to the Masters.
Yeah.
And a little sneak peek. So Mitch and Chris, you can start your wheels spinning. The theme for this year's Masters episode for creating a playlist is top 10 spring break songs. So start compiling your list.
Love it. Okay. Any other golf thoughts? Or are we good to move on to...
No, it's interesting. I didn't see much. I didn't see any of it. I read a couple things here and there. TGL, apparently there's questions like how accurate is the screen stuff? Why are they struggling so much in the bunkers? I guess Tiger and Rory, it was a lot more interesting this week. It had kind of fallen off after the novelty of the first week, and I heard it went a little bit better. So that's just kind of a fad thing for me. It'd be like if the pros were playing mini golf and they televised that. I mean... And to an extent, it's kind of like the match, right? Like the match was great early because it was compelling and it was different, and now it's the same. It's like they're bringing back the Skins game this year, but the old Skins game that was on Thanksgiving weekend was always like this compelling, great thing, and Jack and Lee and Chi-Chi and Gary Player and whatever, and then it finally lost its luster, or the par 3 shootout at Three Tops and that kind of stuff. These things kind of are flash in the pan type of stuff. I haven't watched TGL beyond the first night, so I don't know how well it'll last. But I don't think that the craze of the indoor golf, the simulator golf craze is going to go away, because there's so many of us, and even in the South lately, that can't get out on the golf course at this time of the year. So it gives us a reprieve for sure.
Absolutely. All right. let's move on to spot 2, mailbag. We have an extra mailbag. We forgot to mention that. We have 3 sets of questions in this one.
Oh yeah, we have a ton of questions this week.
You want Mitch first?
Here, I'll give you Mana's questions first.
Okay.
Did she give you questions too?
She sent you the same ones as you.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Let me go find my notes a second. Next pod. Here we go. Okay. From Mana. Describe Izzo's style of coaching in 5 adjectives, or she says, or more.
Oh boy.
You could do this combined. I would say passionate.
Enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic is a good one. What's another good one for his coaching style and an adjective? Getting us thinking about the grammar train tonight, Mom. Passionate, enthusiastic, energetic.
Yeah.
More energetic lately this year because I think he likes his team. Honestly, I think smart. I think he knows basketball better than a lot of the young coaches. I was going to say, like, teaching. I don't know. What's an adjective for that? Teaching. Yeah, I mean, that's a verb, or teacher is a noun, but I mean, he's I mean, I guess he's an educator. That's not necessarily an adjective, but I guess you could kind of, it describes him, so that could be kind of it. I think he also honestly has compassion. Like, he has compassion for his players. He has compassion for fans. He has compassion for fellow coaches that he kills, or dreams that he shatters. I think he has compassion for people. I think he's a really good people person too. So those are probably the ones that come. Fiery is another one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
That goes with it a little bit. I think winner. Again, that's not necessarily purely an adjective, but that's what he is. Like, he's about ready to break Bobby Knight's record. He's humble. That's another one I'll give you, because he would tell you, well, yeah, but we play more league games than Bobby Knight did. He appreciates being in that stratosphere, but he doesn't take it for granted.
Right.
We've been blessed to have him for 30 years and maybe a few more. So, you get caught up in the world of, what have you done for me lately, and fair weather fans. And I think that's easy to do and take for granted, somebody like him that's been around and been so successful for so long. But Michigan State since 2020 is, by almost 30 games, the most winning program in the Big Ten. Been to 8 Final Fours in his tenure, won the national championship, last Big Ten team to win a national championship. Let's not take that for granted, because there's no guarantees that the next guy is going to be the next Izzo. That is for sure. All right, Mom's next question. What factors have been the keys to MSU's success with now 13 straight wins?
Cohesion.
Defense. Last night was the best half of defense. Yep. I said it to Daub, and I said it to you today, Ryan. The defense last night in the first half, not the lowest points they've given up, but it was the best, most swarming defense I've seen Michigan State play in years.
Yeah, it was good.
It was depth, I would agree. I think a key factor, too, is they have the right depth. They don't just have depth, but they have 3 guys that can run the show and deliver the rock and not turn it all over a lot. You got a guy like Cohen Carr, who has come into this new stratosphere of, he's not just an amazing dunker, but he can finish at the free throw line. He had a nice little mid-range jump shot last night. He's been working on his 3, and he can defend. Yep. Like, I think we're seeing that more and more, is that his athleticism and his speed and his lateral movement allows him to defend really well. I think they have the right team mentality and team attitude. You can't have that kind of depth and success with that depth without everybody grasping and loving their role. Yeah, nobody's complaining. If somebody's having an off night, they know that they're going to sit a little bit more. And even Booker, which has been a pleasant surprise to me, because he seemed like the most type that would be the brooding type, but he tries to make the most of his opportunities. But I think those are all factors to me to the success. And honestly, because of all those things, Izzo is more engaged and bought in, and that helps too. Michigan State teams are better when he's fully engaged.
Yeah, 100%. You can tell he's got a new energy to him.
Her next question, this was before last night. Can you explain the recent success of Minnesota? Is it luck? Question mark.
I think a little bit, but I think that, I mean, they're a good defensive team. I think they're well coached. I think Ben Johnson doesn't get enough credit for the job. That's a hard job.
He's probably arguably the least talented team in the Big Ten.
I mean, he lost. If they'd run it back with their squad last year and brought in some guys, I mean, they would have been an excellent team this year. They probably would have been a top 5 or 6 team in the Big Ten. Yeah, I just think, I mean, a little bit of it's luck, but they have to, like, Dawson Garcia is a really good player. They have some shooters.
He had an off game last night. He had 21 points.
Yeah, I mean, they're solid. They're a good team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not good, they're average, but I mean, I think that they can obviously beat teams that are better than them because of their style, because of their toughness, their coaching. And I think that they're going to end up making the Big Ten tournament. I wouldn't want to play them in the Big Ten tournament, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the thing is their schedule gets a little bit easier for the back half of the Big Ten season, whereas Michigan State's gets significantly more difficult. So Minnesota could easily make its way to the middle of the pack. And Muna's last question, are you happy with the new pick of the Detroit Lions defensive coordinator?
Yes. I am.
I like that the video that I saw of him from Hard Knocks that recirculated. Yeah. I think he keeps the culture there. I think he's got that fire that Aaron Glenn did. I think the biggest lesson he could learn from Aaron Glenn is don't be so stubborn that you can't adjust when the chips are against you. And I'm talking about like in the NFC divisional round when the Lions lost another defensive back. Like you can't keep playing man coverage and hoping that your pass rush is going to get home when it wasn't there. You got to be able to have a plan B and to adjust and throw a different look at things. I think ultimately injuries were the Lions' downfall on defense this year. And there's only so much adjustment, I get it, that you can do. But I think that's the one thing that I'm going to say to Shep is that you got to be able to be willing to fall on, not fall on the sword for your style, but be able to pull kind of a rabbit out of your hat if need be. And she didn't ask about the offense coordinator, but I'll ask you about the offense coordinator, Ryan. He was a Lions guy before.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I don't really have an opinion on it, to be honest.
Lions have the talent, so there's no question about that part.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
All right, those were Muna's questions. You go ahead and with Mitch's questions.
Yeah, Mitchapalooza. He's got 4 as well. Number 1, what is more likely for MSU basketball, an Elite 8 berth or outright Big Ten regular season championship? I'm going to say the latter, Big Ten championship. I think that we're already beating down the door of it, and it's just so hard to win the tournament.
It is. I mean, you can have a great team like Michigan State did in, what was that, 15 when they lost to Middle Tennessee State. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's a Big Ten championship. But, hey, Michigan State's got every chance in the world to get to the Final Four this year. But they could just easily lose in the first round.
Yeah. Agreed. Number 2, you think Jace Richardson sticks around another year? I was always thinking yes, but that game at MSG in front of every scout might have changed things. We talked about this in the car. I think it's 50-50. The way he's playing, I think he's got a lot of upside. He has a body to grow into where he can get stronger. Does he have things he can work on? Absolutely, to come back to college, but I don't know. I think it's...
Here's a big reason I think he comes back. Dad stayed 2 years. Dad had a good freshman year, and they won the national championship. And I think that he would say, go get developed for one more year under a really good coach. Because here's the difference between the NBA and college.
There's no coach.
He's not going to go and get coached up in the NBA. So if he really truly wants to get better, I always argued that Christie, I would have been fine if he left after 2 years. I think he needed another year. I get it. He's kind of growing into a little bit of a role. I guess I hear loosely with the Lakers now, but how many years ago was that he was here? Like, I just think there's something for most guys that 2 years, because the growth between your freshman year and your sophomore year especially is so big. I think he comes back. I think he, at this point in time, would make a really nice NBA player, but I think if he can come back and do a few more things with a little bit more on his plate. Like right now, he also gets to come off the bench. He doesn't have as much pressure on him because he's a freshman and the expectations are still low, even though he's really good. So if he's having a shitty game, you can take him out more or less, right? Like, I think I think one more year, because mom and dad are very involved and know his potential and what he can still grow into. He can get that out of Izzo. I don't think he can get that out of an NBA coach.
Yeah, good point. Number 3 for the Lions, Shepard and Morton would be an A grade replacements for me. What is your grade? I'll just say A. I mean, I like Shepard a lot.
I don't know that there's really anything else you could have expected. What, do you want to go get somebody that's already established somewhere else? No, because I think a big part of what the Lions have to offer with their team is the chemistry and the togetherness. And I don't think you just go try to toe for toe replace what you lost. I think you figure out what works culturally with the talent that you have and is going to work with your talent. And I think they did that. Yeah. And honestly, you don't want to continue to get guys that are going to get potentially poached every year. You don't want to rebuild that chemistry every year.
Right, like a Robert Salah.
Mm-hmm.
Over or under 100 rushing yards for Saquon in the Super Bowl?
Over.
Over. That dude's...
He deserves... I'm sorry, like Allen, Jackson...
Never give it to quarterbacks.
All those guys, great seasons.
I would never give it to running backs. But
Saquon...
He's been...
Saquon is an MVP. He's the MVP, I think, of the National Football League this year. I mean, the amount of touchdowns over 50 yards, like, I would have loved to have seen he and Gibbs go head-to-head in the NFC Championship game, but maybe not next year. Yeah. But I think he gets 100 yards.
That's all for Mitch.
All right, Chris has got a few. First one, given everything the NFL does to promote balanced competition, salary caps, worst team drafts first, worst teams get an easier schedule, etc., are you surprised there are 12 teams that have never won a Super Bowl, 4 of which have never been to a Super Bowl? So those 12 teams that have never won a Super Bowl are the Vikings, the Cardinals, the Lions, who've never been, the Bengals, the Chargers, the Falcons, the Texans, who have never been, the Bills, who lost 4 in a row, the Jaguars, who've never been, Tennessee, who lost by a yard back against Kurt Warner, the Browns, who have never been, and the Panthers.
Yeah, it's for me, it's a double-edged sword. Yes, I'm surprised because the NFL just loves to give everyone a chance, but at the same time, they love storylines. They want whatever is going to draw the most viewers, and the Chiefs, they know
3 Pete's and Taylor Swift, right?
Exactly.
Like that's, yeah. I mean, you see things sometimes on TikTok and other social media that it's like, conspiracy theory, whatever. There's always those things, but like reminders that the NFL is an entertainment league. Is it as fixed as WWE? I don't know that it really is, but let's just say some of the stuff makes you pause a little bit.
It does.
All right, next question from Chris. If you had to choose, this is specifically for you, if you had to choose between the love of your life or a golf credit card that was unlimited that you never had to pay back, but you would never break 100, which would Ryan choose? He said, I won't put you in the doghouse.
Why do you have to put me in the doghouse? Oh. Is there a cyanide pill?
Well, I mean, there's some stipulations, like you can buy clubs, you can go golf wherever. I'll spend all this money, but you're never going to break 100.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I'd want to be good at golf. I'd rather be good at golf. The first thing you said.
So you'd choose the love of your life over the golf. Unlimited golf. Yeah.
I can't, like, I'm not good at golf, but I'm okay enough where if I shot over 100 every time, I'd really be pissed off.
Yeah, then you wouldn't want to play.
I would
even if it was free. Okay, so Chris sent me a TikTok, so I had to quick look at it before, and he said, "What's the ruling?" And it was a seagull taking somebody's ball off the green.
Yeah, there is an animal. There's something in the rule book for an animal. Like
I think I think you replace it as close to where you
thought it was, or
as close to where it
like
was.
A bird or a deer, this stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, and there's rules about stipulations like fire ants or killer bees or bees or what snakes and that kind of stuff too. So, Chris, you'll have to correct us. You would know, but I think you put it back as close to the original landing spot as possible. And Chris's last question. Would you rather play 9 holes at Augusta with Tiger or 18 holes at Boulder Creek or your local course with John Daly?
At Augusta.
I'd play John Daly. I'd take him to, I don't even know, where would we go around
North
here?
Kent.
Oh, man. We would rip that place up. That'd be fun. No, I'm going to take him someplace like American Dunes or
Carter
whatever.
in the pond.
He'd be a blast. Tiger just seems like he'd be too stiff to me.
He's gotten better though.
He's gotten better. Like when he played with the whatever those guys are, the four play pod. So good questions, Chris. Know you're in a conference this week, so when you're bored, send us more for next week.
That's right. All right, spot 3. And a word from our presenting sponsor, Team Andrews Realty. They will help you find the home that fits your wants and needs, and they make the process simple and fun along the way. The Andrews have served thousands of clients for 30 plus years in West Michigan and are here to serve you today. Learn more at teamandrews.com. College basketball, we're not going to talk about Michigan State here. We've dedicated spot to State of State. We're bringing that back here for this week. But college basketball, it's been fun. I guess we can talk about non-Big Ten at first. Saturday night we were watching the end of the Auburn, Tennessee, in probably the last 10 minutes. Not a high-scoring basketball game, but so
fun
intense.
Game to watch, yeah.
Loud arena, 2 good teams going back and forth. Just really fun. We watched a little Duke against NC State the other day. Cooper Flagg, if you haven't seen him, please watch him. Guy's a phenom. Just turned 18 years old, and he's amazing. College basketball is just really fun this year. There's no clear – there's some really, really good teams, but there's no team that you look at and you go, yeah, they're far and away the best. Also, Houston down 6 with 12 seconds left or whatever it was.
Highly improbable.
With Kansas shooting free throws, puts it into overtime.
It's double overtime.
And then it goes into double overtime, and then they win.
Yep.
At the Fog. Almost impossible to do that. They're another team that's good. I don't think Kansas is that good.
Give a hats off to Bill Self for calling out Dickinson last week for some of his ridiculous behavior. Like, why wouldn't you let go of the ball when the whistle blows? He was mad at him for being an idiot.
Good. Finally. Someone's standing up to his dumbass. Tired of him. I'm trying to think anything else big in college basketball. Arkansas is terrible. Calipari got that job, and everyone thought it would be okay. He's been bad. Kentucky's been good. Louisville, I think they're back. They're 16-5, 9-1 in the ACC, looking like they're going to for sure be a tournament team. First year, Pat Kelsey, former Charleston and Winthrop coach, doing a nice job there. It's good for college basketball when teams like that are good. Louisville,
the
St.
Blue Bloods.
John's, Memphis,
St.
Florida,
John's is good.
These teams that have won championships and been good in the past. You like to see that. Let me get to the Big Ten. We did Wednesday last week. Nothing too crazy happened in the Big Ten, really. I'm just kidding. Every night's crazy in the Big Ten. Maryland goes to Illinois last week, smacks them around. Then they beat Indiana on Sunday on the road, and they were down almost double digits here to Wisconsin. And tonight it looks like they're going to pull out a win against a ranked team. It would be their second ranked win in their last 3 against really good competition. Then would move Wisconsin probably out of having a chance to win the Big Ten. Honestly, it's 6-4 halfway through. Maryland's playing good basketball. They've got good bigs. They have veteran guards playing well. Indiana, we talked about last week. They're toast, man. Lost to Northwestern, has not been very good this season. They lost to them, and then lose to Maryland on their home court. They were down. They came back, and then they blew the lead. Just not good. Mike Woodson's days are very numbered. USC, they're playing better. They beat Nebraska last week. Nebraska's really sliding, though. They lost at home. Then they got smoked by Wisconsin the other day. I don't know. I think they really miss Rink Mast. But not a great team. UCLA's playing better. After they lost 4 in a row, they've now won 4 in a row. They beat Washington and USC this week. Iowa continues to be pretty bad. They're 13-8 now. They beat Penn State hardly on Friday night. Then they turn around and get
throttled by
blown out by Ohio State on the road. Hardly scored. Fran's days are numbered too, I think. Speaking of teams that choke, Penn State, they've lost so many close games.
Oh, yeah.
Iowa
by one.
Close one to Michigan the other day, which they were up 5 with under 2 to go, and Michigan pulls off the miracle win. And then Michigan goes to Mackey. Rubber meets the road. They lose by 27.
That game was over in 8
down
minutes.
25 at half. It's what happens when you play against a team that can lock you up and play good defense and has good guards. Michigan really has struggled with guards that get up in you. And, you know, like Golden and Wolf, they're good players, but Wolf also is a guy that if you get up in him, he's going to turn the ball over 5 or 6 times.
A lot, like it's his job.
Yeah, and he's not playing great right now. I wonder if it's finally catching up to him. The scouting reports, the level of competition. Like he's a good player. He's fun to watch. He's kind of a point forward type, but I don't know. I mean, Michigan, they have some solid players, but no depth. Their guard play spotty. Not a great rebounding team. Turn the ball over a lot. I think they'll be, for sure, you know, top 5 or 6 seed, but do they make a big run? I don't see it unless they get perfect matchups and they start shooting the ball well. I mean, Vlad Golden's a tough matchup. He's big, but if you can't get him the ball, why does it matter? Saturday in the Big Ten, actually it was a pretty light day in Minnesota. We already talked about them a little bit in mailbag. They beat Oregon, who was playing really well, so that was a good win for them. Sunday, Illinois got back at Northwestern for an earlier loss. Jaka Chonas almost had a triple-double. That guy's a star. Already talked about Maryland. Ohio State's playing a little better.
After that win at Purdue last week.
They have a good roster. It's just I don't know how well coached they are, and I don't know how disciplined they are. Talked about UCLA. They're doing better. And then...
I mean, yeah, your updated standings, because Maryland is presumably, with 20 seconds to go up 6, is going to take them out. Michigan State's 9-0, Purdue's 8-2, Michigan's a lucky 7-2, to be honest. Wisconsin's about to fall to 6-4, Maryland to go to 7-4. 2 games in hand over Michigan State. They're got some catching up to do on their schedule. UCLA 6-4, Illinois 6-4, Oregon 5-4, Indiana 5-5, USC 4-5, Ohio State 4-5. There's a big chunk of teams in the middle, and it's starting to spread out a little bit from the top to the middle to the bottom. It'll be interesting to battle for the 3 teams that aren't going to make the Big Ten tournament this year, because there's currently Washington in last, then Nebraska with 2 wins, then you got Minnesota, Penn State, Rutgers, Northwestern, all with 3 wins, and Iowa's sliding into that category too. So could be very interesting.
The fight for the last couple spots there. We already talked about Izzo almost passing Bob Knight. I don't think I have anything else college basketball-wise, and we can hop to spot 4, NFL Championship Weekend recap. We'll start with the NFC. I mean, these games, like the first game was terrible. Washington just stood no chance from the get-go. Philly dominated. They played the game the way that they thought they should have played last year all season. Saquon was
number
good.
1 defense, and their
defense
is really good. Yeah.
Forced turnovers. They made Jaden Daniels look like a rookie for one of the few times this season. They deserved it. As much as I'm not a big Eagles guy, they deserved it.
Be an Eagles guy in a couple Sundays.
I hope that they all get the stomach flu and they can't play. Both teams.
Let's just have Puppy Bowl instead.
Exactly. They should have the worst teams play. They should have the Jags play the Titans.
Nobody wants to see the Chiefs again.
No, tired of it. And then
except for Chiefs.
Get to that BS game. I mean, like Mahomes, he's really good. Like he's a winner. He makes winning plays, but he has the NFL, the whole shebang in the back pocket.
I gotta ask this
drop
question.
pass by Xavier Worthy.
How in today's technology day and age are we still relying on an eyeball in a chain to figure out first downs? And I don't even think they measured that fourth down.
No, they didn't.
With the Bills, where they said that they were stopped short, which was a key drive because if the Bills scored there, I think they were either tied or winning at that time by 3. Who knows? They could have really put the squeeze on. Look, I'm not saying that the NFL is fixing games for the Chiefs. It often appears that way, but I'm telling you, there are things that are correctable that I cannot fathom why they have not tried to correct them. And one of them is chip technology in the ball to match with a little, eye in the sky line, something. There's got to be a more efficient way to take the human element out of calling first down or not, because that was the critical play.
First of all, that was a first down. Second of all, the guy that called that, the ref that came running in came from the Chiefs sideline that called him short. The other guy said he got it.
Right.
The Chiefs sideline guy came in. Chris Jones, if you watch the video in slow motion, he's jumping over the ball before it snapped. Mm-hmm. So he's offsides.
Which they called in the Redskins like 16 times in a row against the Eagles.
Yeah.
And almost enacted a little-known penalty of an automatic touchdown because of it.
That's actually insane. What was I going to say? The Xavier Worthy play where he clearly dropped the ball, wasn't even reviewed.
Yeah.
No one says anything about it aside from Gene Steratore. Then on the last play the Bills had, Josh Allen, like against an all-out blitz, somehow escapes, chucks it up. Kincaid has a chance. He drops it. Incomplete, and then there shows on the screen that there's a flag, and there's no flag on the field. And Jim Nate's like, "Oh, there's a flag. There's a flag." There's some conspiracy theories out there that was planned. That if that ball was caught, that there was for sure going to be a flag going against the Bills for like holding or offensive pass interference or ineligible man downfield, something like that. That would have cost them. It wouldn't have surprised me. It's all part of the script.
Yeah.
I'm tired of the Chiefs, man. Kelsey, screw him. Mahomes, screw him. It's ridiculous. Someone's got to put an end to it, and I don't want it to be the Eagles, but it's got to be the Eagles.
It's not going to be us. It may as well be the Eagles.
It's got to be somebody. Tired of them. Just the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a good matchup. Two good defensive teams, two good quarterbacks. Eagles definitely have a better run game than the Chiefs. The Chiefs' offense isn't that good, though. I feel like
I don't think so either.
It's not, but they'll find a way. I guarantee you that they will find a way. It's just how it works. Anything else? NFL championship week. I don't think I have anything else. Bummed out it's not the Lions, but can't have nice things.
Nope.
All right, let's go to State of State, spot 5, our final spot before sprint.
Start with Michigan State hockey. 5-point lead.
Yeah, let's
took
go.
5 points. No, they have a 6-point lead. I think they took 5 of a potential 6 points from Minnesota this weekend, including a 9-3 shellacking on Friday.
9 goals.
One bad spot, Red Savage, who I believe it was from a cheap shot against Michigan a couple weeks ago Friday, is out for the season for Michigan State, so that's a blow. But it's been fun to watch Michigan State. They've been on BTN a lot lately. They're on BTN, I think, this week Thursday against Ohio State. Again, good series with Ohio State. With just the month of February to go. Another weekend of kind of holding suit, and Michigan State's going to be pretty hard to catch, and is going to host the Big Ten Championship again, which is pretty good.
Yep. Agree with that. Michigan State football.
Spring schedule announced.
Yep.
Starting mid-March.
Got another commit. Michigan State's really tapping into the OLSM, Orchard Lake, St. Mary's. I think they have 5 guys coming.
Tell me they won the state championship this year.
I don't know if they did.
That's crazy.
But Michigan State's got some good in-state talent coming in. I really am looking forward to seeing how they do in year 2. I think
they'll take a step up for sure.
I think so. And I'm sure some guys will enter the portal in the spring window. I'm sure they'll get a guy or two to supplement where they feel need be, probably hopefully edge and maybe corner or something, maybe a backup quarterback. But Michigan State football looking up. What's that, 7 months from now? That's crazy.
It's a ways out there.
7 months from tomorrow, I think it's actually might be the 29th. Is their first game against, I think it's Western. I don't know if it's Western.
Hoops, so we'll give a little shout out to Michigan State women's hoops. It was down 4 against Michigan on Saturday or Sunday, and then won by 30-some points.
Michigan State men and women's are combined 35-5. Pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Good. Good for them. And Michigan State men finally get the monkey off the back and win at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Tried to choke it away a little bit at the end. What a surprise. Michigan State makes nothing easy, but I mean, they locked up. Cohen Carr had Ace Bailey in a torture chamber.
And had an amazing game himself with 14 points, and I think it was 8 rebounds.
He's perfect from the field.
Yep.
Guy is coming into his own. You talked about that earlier. I mean, Michigan State right now they're playing well. I think they have a lot they can still improve on. I think taking care of the ball. I think getting more quality shots.
Did better last night, only 9 turnovers. And more ball movement. I mean, they had 20 assists on 25 made baskets last night, but they still get a little bit stagnant in the shot clock for my liking. I think they need to shore that up a little bit.
Finishing layups.
Akins has got to play better as the senior. He's got to be reliable as the go-to guy, and he's
been slumping.
Yeah, he's been slumping. Like, I get it sometimes when the shot's there and he's got the shot to shoot the three, but if you're not making it, it's like Booker. He's 1 for his last 20. Stop freaking shooting threes, right? Like, guys that should be shooting threes, Trey, Jace, Kohler was 2 for 4 last night. I think he gives a little bit of a stretch to that. Booker maybe 1 a game. If it goes in, maybe you get the green light, but if your first one is off, you don't shoot another one. Like 25 threes or whatever Michigan State took last night, 23 threes, that is way too many for my liking. 18 is my ceiling for what I think is good. I get it. Sometimes that's what teams give you, and you got to be able to make that. I still think there's going to be a game Michigan State loses strictly because of that. Happened last year, season opener. So that's my one kind of big pause and worry. Here's the thing: is Michigan State with 11 games to go in the Big Ten. In my opinion, if they go 7-4, which isn't a given, but given how they've started, is very doable. That puts them at 16-4. That will win the Big Ten.
Yeah, agreed.
There's no way that Purdue and Michigan are only losing 2 more games the rest of the way.
That is doable. Just take care of business on your home court and steal a couple on the road.
Yep.
Very doable. But, the defense, we talked about that earlier, played better last night. Hopefully they can keep that up. Top 20, Ken Palm, both offense and defense, one of 6 teams in the country. No surprise that's Michigan State, Iowa State, Auburn, Duke, Houston, and then I can't remember the other one, but all really good teams. Michigan State's up there with them, so hopefully they can keep it up. Rubber meets the road here in February, but first Izzo team to go undefeated in December and January. That's pretty sweet. Got to keep winning, though. I want that, 3 seed or better would be really ideal for us going to the tournament. But I think Michigan State's best basketball is at them. I think they can peak. I'm sure they'll hit the skids a little bit here. It's in the dog days of February, but with some tough games. But split this road trip, and I think and they have a chance to win both, obviously. But split it, and I think you're looking good at 10-1 going into the last month of the season.
3 of the next 4 are on the road.
Yep.
So that's gonna get a little bit more difficult.
Who's the third? Who's the
Illinois?
Oh, that's right. No, I think
4 of the next 5. Michigan, Illinois, USC, UCLA on the road.
We play Indiana somewhere in between.
Oh, maybe I missed it on the schedule.
I think it goes USC, UCLA.
Not as many home games coming up,
Oregon.
but then down the stretch, it looks pretty good for Michigan State with home games. So.
Yep. Yeah, looking forward to it. They're actually fun to watch. I was at the game last night. Great atmosphere. It was loud, as loud as I've heard it in a while. Look what happens when you do good. People show up, I guess.
Right.
Fair weather, but that's good to have that home court advantage back at the Breslin. All right. let's sprint this thing home. You kind of already answered it, but what's the record that wins that Big Ten outright? Are you saying 16-4?
I think 16-4, honestly, for sure wins it outright. I still think 15-5.
I think 15-5 can do it. I really do.
I mean, Michigan's got 2 losses. They still have to play us twice. I don't know what
they
else
have to play
the rest
Purdue
of their schedule
again.
looks
They
like.
play Maryland.
Purdue
Oregon.
has to still play us. They have to play Indiana twice. That's a rivalry game. I'm sure that they play some more tough games. Like, look, most of the top of the Big Ten hasn't played each other yet, for the most part.
No, not really.
So, like Purdue and Illinois, I don't think they've played yet.
I don't believe they have.
Throw Wisconsin in there, throw Maryland in there, Ohio State the way that they're playing. So, yeah, I think 16-4 wins it outright. I think 15-5 is for sure a tie. Maybe even 15-5 wins it outright.
Yeah, I agree. In honor of Brandon Dawson, he's retiring from basketball. Saw this the other day. What is your favorite moment he had as a Spartan?
Oh man, that's hard to say. I think was it against Louisville that put us into the Final Four?
He had a tip back
1 year. Like, I just thought he had a monster game.
He had a good putback. I'm gonna say, man, he had some really good moments.
He had some great dunk moments.
I'll never forget that windmill he did his freshman year against Purdue because Purdue wanted him and he said no, obviously.
Yeah.
Put that up there.
You wonder what, like, he's one of those what ifs, like when he blew out his knee against Ohio State.
Does Michigan State get to a Final Four and win a national championship?
Yeah,
quite possibly.
I mean, he wasn't the guy, but he was such a linchpin
best
on that
defender
team.
that wasn't Draymond Green.
Yeah, such a linchpin. So athletic. Not necessarily a great smooth shooter, but he could shoot it, and he certainly could do the stuff that Carr does. Could get to the line. Great defender. He was a game changer.
Junkyard dog kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this on Fox the other day, so kudos to them. Best individual rivalry in sports history.
You mean person to person?
Yeah.
Individual rivalry?
Yeah.
Magic Bird.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. But I saw in there like Manning versus Brady, and I don't.
Yeah, but Brady won most of those. Like Magic Bird had a pretty good split of, Magic probably got a few more than Bird, but.
So LeBron versus Curry.
Whatever. Both libtards.
Kamala versus Obama, basically. All right, last question. This is rhetorical, but are the Chiefs one of the most insufferable franchises in sports?
Yeah, and the funny thing is they weren't, but I think that happens. Like, right when you first have success and you haven't had success in a while, everybody's like, "Oh, that's a great story," and then it gets boring, right? It gets old. It gets insufferable, like you said. So, look, when you peel it back, Mahomes is going to be one of the best quarterbacks ever to play in the NFL. He's already there, and he's still a young guy. I think part of what makes him insufferable is because people get tired of just the same story, and people like me who can't stand Taylor Swift get tired of seeing her in a football game when she has nothing to do with the football game in those same storylines. So I think that's part of it. But, like, if you push that to the side, mad respect for Andy Reid. That dude can flat out coach. Like, the Chiefs know how to win games. They did it all season long. We lamented it all season long on the podcast. Blocking field goals, missed field goals, blocking punts, late touchdowns,
curses.
All kinds of stuff. So while, yes, I still have mad respect for them.
Agreed. I hate them, though. All right, that's episode 210. We appreciate you guys listening. Let us know if you have any mailbag questions or any topics you would like us to discuss here in the future. Off week of football, and then we go to Super Bowl Sunday. Then we're done with that, and we'll be all college hoops and golf, really, for the long haul for about a month. And what is it? It's 46 days until Selection Sunday from today, so it's creeping up on us.
Christmas in March.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, meantime, as R.W. Borum once said, we make our decisions, and then our decisions turn around and make us.